Hello everyone, this is part 11 of What If Naruto Was the God of Taijutsu, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. This behind me is the training ground 44, better known as the Forest of Death. Haku gestured to the massive gates behind him. It is in here that you will have to take the next part of your exam. Any questions? Yeah, I got one. Haku let out a tired sigh. What is your question, Naruto-san? The blonde lowered the hand he had raised as Haku acknowledged him. I'm not quite sure I understand how the whole forest behind that gate is covered in snow. What Naruto said happened to be the very question on most of the genins' minds. The Forest of Death was indeed covered in a deep layer of snow. Yet it was a warm summer day on their side of the fence. Haku let out another sigh. Are the means important? Instead of asking, how, you should be asking, why. This exam will test multiple things. The first being how you deal with different conditions. It is a possibility that as a chunin you will be sent to a land with a very different climate than yours. Normally we would be made aware of where we are going and of the conditions. We don't have the gear necessary for this. Sakura shouted from amongst the crowd. I was getting to that. Sakura slunk back in embarrassment. You will not enter the forest until midnight tonight. That means that you all are expected to go out and buy the necessary equipment before then. Prepare enough for 5 days. That's how long you'll be in there. So what's the objective? Survive. A random genin shouted. Haku rubbed his temple in annoyance. Must you all insist on interrupting me? His question was met with silence. Each team will receive one of 2 scrolls. Heaven and Earth. Your objective is to obtain them both and make it to a tower in the center of the forest. This is a campaign against all your fellow peers. Wait a second. That means at best only half of us will pass. Kiba shouted from his spot next to Sakura. That's right. Of the 48 teams that started the first exam, only a meager 15 made it to this one. However, there are plenty of ways to fail here as well. If anyone in your team if you open either one of your scrolls before reaching the tower, or if you don't make it within 5 days, you are out. Also bear in mind that some teams may try to collect multiple copies of scrolls. Haku was finally met with silence as the crowd let his words sink in. Show up back here at 11. You will be assigned your scrolls then. Anyone late will be disqualified. Dismissed. A mirror of ice formed behind Haku as he finished talking. As soon as he stepped inside, it shattered. He was nowhere to be seen. Well, I guess we better go and buy some snow clothes. We should hurry so we can beat the rush, Naruto said, already walking in the direction of the village. Yosh. Perhaps they will have white spandex so that I can blend in with the snow. Everyone within earshot visibly shivered at the image. I knew there was a reason I didn't want to proctor for those exams. Zabuza said as he and Haku climbed the stairs to their apartment. Dusk was just setting in and they were just finally making it home. However, Haku had to head back to the forest in just a couple hours. Oh, and what was that? Haku asked as he opened the door. Alright assholes. Start talking. Naruto stood right in the doorway, as if he'd been waiting for them the whole time. Zabuza gave Haku a meaningful look. I rest my case. He then walked straight past the fuming blonde and strolled over to his side of the apartment. Hey, I'm talking to you. Naruto shouted after him. Hokage-sama just thought it would be a good way for us to get more involved in the village. Haku explained as he too walked past his friend. You make even less sense than him. At least he's a jonin. Naruto said as he started to follow them. Haku sighed and turned around to face him. What he saw caused his face to light up in shock. Naruto-san, get down. He jumped forward and tackled his friend down just as sand pellets flew over where his head had just been. What the hell? Naruto attempted to look at who just attacked him. Because of the way he was on the ground, the vision was upside down. However, Naruto didn't have to switch it right to recognize that face. Gaara, he breathed out. Take this. Zabuza roared as he ran into the room and swung his sword down onto where Gaara stood. To everyone's surprise, sand popped from his gourd and instantly deflected his sword, which chopped right through the floorboards. Do not interfere, Gaara said in monotone. My target is him. Zabuza looked back at Naruto and then at the little redhead before him. Look, I know he's annoying, but wait until tomorrow. You'll get a shot at him then. I want to K him now. Gaara spoke almost hungrily now. There was a deep intensity in his eyes that frightened even Zabuza a little. If you K anyone here, you'll be disqualified from the exams. Go home. Zabuza pulled his sword from the ground and hefted it gingerly onto his shoulders. Gaara seemed to ponder the big man's words for a minute. I will wait until tomorrow then. He turned around and began to walk out. Wait, Gaara, Naruto shouted as he quickly stumbled to his feet. The redhead stopped moving but didn't turn around. Naruto took that as a good ahead. Why do we have to K each other? You said it yourself, we're the same. Doesn't that mean we understand each other? We should be on the same side if anything. We could probably be friends. Gaara stood there in silence. A full minute passed and Naruto was starting to wonder if we was even awake. I have no need for friends. Gaara finally spoke. The only one I need is myself. By Ku, who is like me, I will become more complete. I will become a greater existence than even now. Gaara then proceeded to walk out. Naruto could think of nothing to say to stop him. What a screwed up kid. Zabuza said as he began walking towards his room. And where do you think you're going? Did you see what you did to my floor? Naruto shouted. Zabuza turned back to him. The blonde was still trembling quite a bit, and even though he was still capable of yelling, his heart wasn't really in it. Take a nap, brat. You're in for a long week. Day 1. I still can't believe you actually found some. Unfortunately for everyone that night, Lee did manage to find white spandex. His leg warmers and belt were now a bright gray to match with it as well. Yosh. The shop knows exactly how to kindle my burning flames of youth. Nothing will be capable of stopping us now. Despite it, Naruto couldn't help but smile at his best friend's attitude. Personally, he wanted to get the spandex too, but Hinata wasn't budging. He couldn't understand. She could have worn a set too. Instead he settled for her outfit camouflaged completely by being white with other gray spots. Hinata herself had fallen back to her old milky-colored hoodie and matching colored pants. All three had similar gloves and snowcaps on as well. Are the two of you sure you want me to hold onto the heaven scroll? Hinata asked her teammates the same question she had been asking for the past 5 minutes. Of course. It is thanks to you we even got this far. Naruto smiled brightly at her and patted her head lightly. You three are strangely relaxed. Although I guess I'm not surprised, it's just like you. All three turned to Haku as he walked up to them. What's up, Mr. Proctor? Naruto smiled brightly at his friend. I'm just here to make sure you guys start on time. Haku looked behind him at the door that would let them inside. It must have taken a lot of chakra to be able to create this. Hinata observed aloud. I was not aware your Kekai Genkai also allowed you to create snow. To be honest, I wasn't either until shortly after I arrived in this village. As for the chakra, I had many other shinobi lending me their chakra through a special seal system. We have similar seals set up all along the gate to keep the forest this way. Naruto let out a low whistle. I thought this was a little out of place here. So much for having any kind of home field advantage. Naruto-san. Yeah, what's up? Naruto turned to see Haku giving him a look that meant he just said something dumb. You're aware that snow is made up of water, right? You have a huge advantage here. Haku gestured to the inside. Naruto turned his attention back to the forest, his eyes shining like he just received an early Christmas present. No way. That kicks so much ass. Haku dropped his face into his hands. Just then a watch on his hand started beeping. Everyone turned their attention to it. You have 10 seconds. Right, thank you, Haku-kun. Be sure to watch us youthfully pass this exam. The gate swung open just as Lee finished talking. All three of them wasted no time in running in. I'll see it better than you think. Haku called after them as the gate swung back closed. What do you think he meant by that? Naruto yelled as he and his teammates leapt up into the trees. There are probably cameras hidden throughout the whole forest or something, was Lee's response as he landed on his first branch. I don't think that's it. I can't see any. Knowing Haku-san though, He has a way. Hinata's Byakugan was active and already scanning the trees. What's our plan? Let's go deeper into the forest for now. If we're lucky we'll run into someone right away. I doubt anything will happen so early though. All three continued on their way deeper into the forest. Man, how boring. We've been in here for a couple hours already and not a single person has come after us. Tenten landed nimbly on the ground floor next to her two teammates. Are you guys sure you haven't seen anyone? What good are those eyes if you can't find at least a single ninja? You are so noisy. My eyes aren't any good at detecting people. When they're within Neji's range we'll know it. Until then just be quiet. Talking will only give us away. Sasuke continued pacing back and forth. Neji sat cross-legged in the snow. He hadn't moved since they had picked that spot to stay. Well, maybe I want to give us away. I mean seriously. I want to get out of this cold as fast as possible. Sasuke stopped pacing to glare at his only female teammate. Quit being such a child. You're a year older than me for crying out loud. What the hell is that? Both arguing teammates stopped and turned their attention to Neji, who was quickly getting to his feet. What is it, Neji? What do you see? Tenten spun around to see if she could spot it. She then paused as she felt something. Was the ground shaking? I've never seen a creature that big before. We have to move. Now. Neji jumped skywards. Wait a second, Neji. What do you see? Sasuke looked up to where his teammate had jumped. Snake. Tenten screamed. Wah! Sasuke got no farther as Tenten grabbed him by the collar and jumped upwards. They both narrowly dodged out of the way as a humongous snake bowled over the spot they were just at. Without pausing, the snake quickly began to coil itself around the tree in pursuit of its targets. What the hell? Does that thing live in this forest? Sasuke asked as Tenten set him down onto a branch. Not likely, she answered. Do you see the way it's moving? It's specifically targeting us. Someone is commanding it. Who's capable of doing something like that? Sasuke looked back and forth between his two older teammates. Not someone of the genin level. Neji replied stoically. We need to kill it fast before its owner shows up. Whoever sent it after us isn't within range of my vision yet. Right. One of you distract it, I got just the tool. Tenten pulled out one of her scrolls. Here it comes, Sasuke called. He jumped down from the branch. Neji and Tenten both jumped skywards. The snake looked up and down as it decided which group to go after. Kaiten, Hosenka no Jutsu. The snake's mind was quickly made up as several fireballs enter it from below. Tenten, hurry it up. Sasuke screamed as the snake descended quickly after him. I know already. Tenten ran down the tree as quickly as she could. Take this. She jumped from the tree and swung her unraveled scroll. A spiked ball flew from it and into the snake's head. Sasuke dove out of the way as the snake veered out of control and into the ground. Moving quickly, he joined Tenten on the side of the tree. And what was that supposed to do exactly? And you call me impatient? Just as she spoke those words, the ball detonated. The snake was quickly engulfed in a massive explosion as pieces of it flew all over. The snow in the area was quickly dyed red with its bee. Alright, now let's get out of here fast. A dark chuckle suddenly caused both of them to spin around. I'm afraid that leaving will not be an option for the two of you, said a female ninja with a kusa headband. You see, I'm not sure I like what you just did to my cute little pet. Sasuke sneered. Don't act like you're the innocent one here. You sent it after us. Now, Sasuke-kun. Is that any way to talk to someone? Tenten and Sasuke's eyes widened. How do you know my name? Oh, you could call it a hobby of mine. Now if you'll excuse me for a moment. I have a pest problem to deal with. Without missing a beat, the Kunoichi spun her upper body around and caught Neji's outstretched arm. How rude of you, trying to interrupt our conversation. Can it? Tenten appeared behind her opponent now, a wakizashi poised to see. The legs of the Kunoichi, still facing Tenten, sprung into action, landing a powerful kick into her stomach and sending her flying downwards. As soon as the kick connected, Neji released his foothold on the tree and launched his own kick. The Kusa ninja easily stepped out of the way and in one fluid motion spun her top back on straight and hurled him down towards Tenten. Your turn. She charged Sasuke, who immediately dove sideways to the nearest tree. The second he hit it, he jumped upwards, grabbed the branch he was beneath and spun himself to the top. Without pausing to see if she had followed, he ran through a set of hand seals. Kaiten, Gokakyu no Jutsu, he fired a giant ball of fire straight forward just as she flipped up onto the branch. With a shrill shriek she was set ablaze and fell backwards off the tree. He then ducked low as a fist flew over where his head should have been. Spinning around he brought his foot in for a low kick. The Kunoichi shouldn't have been able to stop it, however her arm bent at an odd angle and grabbed his foot easily. Excellent. Most excellent, Sasuke-kun. Seeing through my mud clone must have been child's play for you even without your Sharingan active. Her free hand S into Sasuke's stomach. However, you'll find you may need it to keep up with me. Sasuke let out a dry smirk as the Kunoichi's hand sank into his body. What? The answer came a second later as Sasuke dissolved into mud, revealing an explosive tag strapped onto his body. Another second later and it exploded. The real Sasuke stepped around the side of the tree, his Sharingan active. You may find that you're no match for me when I use it. That's what I like to see. Sasuke instinctively took a step back, for less than an inch from his face was his enemy. What the when did you? The Kunoichi chuckled in response. This is no time to be surprised, Sasuke-kun. You've shown me what you can do with ninjutsu, now I want to see your taijutsu. She rose up her hand and beckoned him forward. Before Sasuke could even move, a set of kunai flew into the tree around the Kunoichi. They all exploded. You're hurting our feelings, ignoring us like that. Tenten yelled from a nearby tree. Sasuke watched as the Kusa ninja seemingly rose out of the ground behind his teammate. Tenten, behind you. Too late, the ninja struck. However, to Sasuke's surprise, Tenten fluidly ducked, grabbed the enemy's arm, and stuck back, with an open palm. The Kunoichi bent over slightly and coughed up B. Ah, I see. I was careless. She wiped some of the B off her lower lip. You two have been working together for a long time now, that swap was perfect. Tenten popped into a cloud of smoke and Neji stood in her place. Without wasting another second he pulled his palm back and swung his other one forward. The Kunoichi knocked this blow aside and sent a spinning kick aimed to Neji's head, who intercepted the blow with his forearm. Knocking her leg back, Neji pressed on the attack. Sasuke scanned the scene for another second before smirking. I see, you threw the kunai and then immediately hid. Neji stood there hanged as you, so the enemy thought he was you. You guys take all the fun out of the surprises. Tenten said as she landed next to him. You going to be okay? Yeah, but shouldn't we help Neji out now? Tenten shook her head. If it's taijutsu we'll only get in his way. You and I are going to act as ranged support in case the enemy tries to put distance between herself and Neji. Sasuke could only nod to the plan as he watched the fight unfold. You are most skilled. The Kunoichi chuckled as she dodged and weaved her way around another set of palm strikes. It's been a long time since I've seen a genin with as much raw talent as you. Perhaps I should come after you instead of Sasuke-kun. Neji halted for a split second before he continued on with his assault, not something missed by his opponent. Oh, you must be wondering why I'm after Sasuke-kun to begin with, aren't you? She jumped up over Neji's sweeping kick. Well, how about I tell you? You see, I'm interested in his eyes. Without warning, the Kunoichi suddenly struck, landing a powerful punch into Neji's chest and knocking him back several feet. Your Byakugan pales in comparison to such strong eyes. Neji stumbled slightly and nearly lost his balance. He then managed a low chuckle. You are a fool. Oh, it speaks, she taunted. Neji ignored her and kept talking. You want the Sharingan? Well then you're out of luck. Even if you can acquire them they will never reach their full caliber. No, your fate was sealed the moment you were conceived as something other than a Uchiha. The Kunoichi said nothing, but Neji could feel her glare burning into him. And there's one more thing, he said while crouching low and spreading his hands out. And what would that be? All good humor had left the Kunoichi's voice. You're within range of my divination. Neji sprung forward and struck before the Kunoichi even had a chance to move. 2 strikes. She stumbled back. 4 strikes. Neji pressed forward. 8 strikes. The pace of his attack sped up. 16 strikes. The Kunoichi could do nothing as Neji assaulted her chakra points. 32 strikes. His hands became little more than a blur as he struck time and time again. 64 strikes. He delivered the final blow, and without the ability to produce chakra, the Kunoichi lost her footing on the trunk of the tree and fell forward. She crashed painfully on a branch some 30 feet below. Neji jumped down and landed next to his opponent. You will never acquire the Sharingan eyes. Instead you'll S right here. This is your fate. The Kunoichi surprised Neji by letting out a small chuckle that was different from the ones before. This one sounded like it belonged to a man. What a cruel technique. I actually lost all control of the chakra in this woman's body. Oh well, I guess this just means it is time to shed my skin. The body gave a slight jerk. Then another. Soon the whole body was convulsing wildly. Neji stepped back in alarm as he watched something begin to slide out of the mouth of the woman he'd just put down. What the hell are you? How rude, responded the man's voice again. Didn't they teach you manners at the academy? You should be asking me my name. A sickly pale-looking man rose up from the body of the woman. However, as a reward for doing so well, I'll tell you it anyway. The man opened his mouth and his tongue pulled out a sword. He caught it with his hand and before Neji could even react he struck. I am Orochimaru, the snake Sannin, the pale man said as Neji fell forward, his beak quickly spilling all over the branch they were on. Do not worry, I left that sea light enough for you to be able to survive. I need your team to pass after all. Besides, now you can watch me have my fun with Sasuke-kun and the girl. Just think of it as your fate. With that said, the Sannin vanished from his spot. Neji, Tenten screamed. Before she made even a slight step, Orochimaru appeared in front of her, his sword still drawn. You bastard! Tenten pulled out the wakizashi she had used earlier and struck. Orochimaru easily blocked the strike. He then flicked it away and spun around. Before Tenten could make another move, the hilt of the sword S. She stumbled forward slightly, and then fell off the branch they were on completely. Tenten. Sasuke moved to jump after her but a powerful kick S him against the trunk of a tree. Fear not Sasuke-kun. She will only fall for a little ways. She'll probably break a couple bones when she hits the branch beneath her, but she'll live. Orochimaru spoke as he casually approached his prey. Why are you doing this? You're not a genin. What do you gain from taking this exam? Sasuke leaned up against the trunk of the tree. The kick had really knocked the wind out of him. You're right, I'm not a genin. But believe me, I get something out of this. Orochimaru smiled evilly, revealing his snake-like fangs. Now come here, Sasuke-kun. Just one little bite and this'll all be over. I'm afraid I cannot let you do that. Orochimaru spun around quickly and brought his sword up just in time. A katana met his sword with a loud clang. Oh, why if it isn't the genin proctor? What are you doing here interfering with the exams? This isn't a show of favoritism, is it? He grinned innocently at Haku as they both retracted their swords and stepped back several feet. Drop the act. I've heard everything that you've said, Orochimaru. The Sannin's smile instantly dropped from his face. That's interesting. I didn't notice any cameras in here. Perhaps Konoha found a new way to monitor people. Orochimaru's eyes widened as Haku seemingly disappeared into thin air. He brought his sword up and blocked another katana strike from his right. He then knocked Haku back and took a swing at him. Haku rolled out of the way. He then ran towards Sasuke. Sasuke-san, grab onto me and hold on tight. Haku snatched a hold of Sasuke's collar and dove at the tree. What are you doing? Sasuke knocked himself loose before they crashed straight into the solid trunk. To his surprise, Haku seemed to vanish through it. What the hell? I see it now. Orochimaru looked around the forest suspiciously. This whole forest is littered in those ice mirrors you use to get around. Correct. Haku shouted from above his opponent. He swung his sword down and Orochimaru easily blocked it again. The second you all entered this forest, you entered my jutsu. When in the mirrors I can see and hear everything that is going on. Orochimaru knocked his sword back and struck, only for Haku to vanish again. This time though Orochimaru struck down into the mirror Haku had gone through, shattering it. That is an impressive sword if it is capable of breaking one of my mirrors. Orochimaru turned around to see Haku standing next to Sasuke again. I must apologize but I will be moving Sasuke-san out of the area as I have already done with his teammates. Don't think I'll let you. Orochimaru ran quickly trough a set of seals. Kaiten, Genkyu no Jutsu. He inhaled a spit a small orb of fire. A flame so small will do little against my technique. Haku rose his hand and water rushed to meet the orb. You idiot, we got to move. Sasuke tackled Haku off the branch and out of the way of the technique. What are you doing? Haku yelled as they plummeted. You don't understand. That technique, Sasuke was interrupted as a loud bang was heard. They both looked upwards to see what was once the little orb, expanding massively. I see, it explodes. Haku observed nonchalantly. Hang on tight, Sasuke-san, this is going to get nasty. Haku ran through several one-handed seals. What the hell is that? Naruto said as he felt a massive heat wave wash over them. I don't know, but it sounds like a massive explosion just went off. Lee answered. They were all looking in the direction that the explosion had just come from. Should we check it out? Hinata looked to Lee, who shook his head. Should we flip a coin for it? Lee asked as he pulled one out. Hinata dropped her head in shame, but Naruto's face lit up. Heads means we go for it. The blonde shouted excitedly. Right. Lee flicked the coin and it went flying before vanishing into the brush. The three of them sat in complete silence for a full half a minute before it came back down and Lee caught it expertly. And the coin says. He placed it on the backside of his hand and all three of them looked at the outcome. What a powerful technique. Haku stumbled upwards and looked around. They now stood in a huge crater. All around them, whole trees had been disintegrated. He was covered in many nasty burns himself. How can you be so nonchalant about this? Sasuke slowly rose to his feet. Haku looked him up and down. He was badly burnt too in many places. All of his winter clothing had been completely seared off and his body was littered with numerous blisters. I can be nonchalant because we survived. Haku began inspecting his sword. It didn't look like it had been hurt at all. How did we survive? I mean, what did you do? Sasuke asked curiously. It was most impressive. Both Genin whirled around. Orochimaru stood there smiling evilly. He formed an orb around you which quickly solidified to ice. Normally that would have just melted, but he kept a constant stream of water flowing into it. The only time you got burned was at the very end, when what was left of the water evaporated. What a handy Kekkei Genkai. Konoha sure has found an interesting new specimen. Haku held his katana up and stood directly in between Sasuke and the evil Sannin. Oh, and what do you plan to do here? You have no ice mirrors around, and the air here is still quite dry. I doubt you could make any more even if you wanted. Just hand Sasuke over to me like a good little proctor. I will not. You are making a grave error if you think Gekkei Kenkais are the only way someone is capable of fighting. Kaiten, Hosenka no Jutsu. Sasuke fired off a series of fireballs. He then grabbed Haku's arm and started pulling him away from Orochimaru. What are you doing? Haku asked. Just then he heard a group of explosions. I hit kunai with exploding tags in the fireballs. We need to make a break for your mirrors. It's our only chance. Orochimaru appeared in front of them before he even finished talking. Not so fast there, Sasuke-kun. Your eyes will be mine. Orochimaru stepped forward. Get away. Sasuke jumped in the air and delivered a powerful kick to the Sannin's face. He disappeared in a puff of smoke. Damn, a shadow clone. Haku spun around and knocked Orochimaru's sword strike away. A sneak attack, as expected by one like yourself. You shouldn't talk, brat. Orochimaru swung his sword forward as did Haku. Several clangs erupted. A sound of chirping birds suddenly filled the air. Impossible, that technique is. Orochimaru spun to see Sasuke charging him with a blade of electricity in his hand. Haku took advantage of the Sannin's momentary surprise and knocked his sword out of the way. Chidori. Sasuke roared as he plunged his hand through the Sannin's chest. All time seemed to freeze as the three stood there. The only noise was Sasuke's Chidori as it started to fade. Finally, Sasuke broke the silence. Damn you, you managed to deflect my strike so it only hit your upper shoulder. Orochimaru let out a dark laugh. That's right. Truthfully, I could have dodged it altogether, but now I have you right where I want you. He quickly grabbed onto Sasuke's arms with an iron grip. What? Let me go, damn it. Sasuke pulled and struggled, but he couldn't get free. It'll be over in just a second. Orochimaru opened his mouth wide. Don't think I'll let you. Haku swung his sword right into Orochimaru's open mouth. The Sannin bit down hard and shattered the sword. His neck then grew incredibly long and he head-butted Haku right in the nose. The boy could do nothing as he fell to the ground in pain. Orochimaru's neck retracted and he opened his mouth wide. Now, Sasuke-kun, you're mine. Just before he was able to bite down, the sound of footsteps fast approaching caused the Sanin's eyes to go wide. Sasuke felt the palm of someone touching his back and a surge of energy shot through him as a Uoken strike harmlessly bypassed his organs. The snake Sanin wasn't so fortunate as the brutal attack into his innards. His open mouth sprayed bee that rained down on Sasuke's neck and shoulder. Double leaf whirlwind. Before Sasuke was able to figure out what happened, Naruto and Lee both appeared as they delivered a powerful spinning kick, Naruto from the front and Lee in the back. Their feet collided at Orochimaru's neck, popping it clean off and sending it flying into the air while spraying bee everywhere. Sasuke easily pulled away from the sea. You guys, he whispered in surprise. He then spun around and was shocked to see it was Hinata that had performed such an advanced Uoken strike and not Neji. What's up, Sasuke-chan? Naruto laughed as he extended his hand to help Sasuke to his feet. Naruto, it is not over, Lee shouted suddenly. Naruto spun and to his surprise, a dozen tiny snakes had shot out from Orochimaru's neck and head and had attached together. They pulled tight and Orochimaru's head was reattached backwards. Well, more pests show up. You three wish to be S as well. The snake Sanin chuckled as he grabbed a hold of his head and with a sickening sound he turned it straight forward. I must admit I am impressed by that technique of yours. Could it have perhaps been inspired by Kumogakure's double lariat technique? Who the hell is this guy? Naruto had a disgusted expression on his face as he reached for his chakra knives. You idiots, we have to get out of here, Sasuke said as he stumbled to his feet. Not a chance. We never run from a fight and this guy must have a scroll. Oh, you mean this? Orochimaru asked as he pulled one out, a heaven scroll. If you want it so bad, come and get it. The Sanin opened his mouth wide and then did something even more disgusting. He wrapped his tongue around it and choked it down. What a sicko. Naruto had just about seen enough. Naruto-san, Lee-san, Hinata-san, we need to get out of here. You no longer have a reason to fight. He ate the scroll. Haku got to his feet as well while holding what looked like a broken nose. Suddenly his face lit up as an idea hit him. The scrolls. We do have a reason to fight though. He hurt our friend, Lee said adamantly as he smiled at Haku, apparently missing what Haku had mumbled. That's right. No one gets away with that. Naruto gave him the thumbs up. Hinata nodded firmly to show her agreement. They weren't backing down. How chivalrous. The Sanin chuckled. Now then, who would like to fight me first? He asked as he reached into his mouth and pulled his sword out. The gouge in his left shoulder was badly, but he didn't seem to mind. How about me? Naruto was already on the snake Sanin, swinging his chakra blades. Orochimaru easily blocked his strike with his sword. What the heck? Naruto shouted in surprise. He had no idea there was a sword out there capable of deflecting his blades of wind. Naruto didn't get to think any more on this as the wind was knocked out of his when the Sanin kneed him in the stomach. Lee charged next, but the Sanin easily bypassed him and now stood right in front of Hinata. I figured I owe you one for that attack earlier. He sneered as he brought his sword straight down towards her head. Hinata jumped backwards and dodged the attack with ease. Orochimaru's body then suddenly inflated for a split second before he shot a powerful blast of wind. A futon without any seals? Hinata asked in shock as she was suddenly blasted backwards and sent to the complete other end of the clearing. You bastard! Naruto shouted as he and Lee re-engaged the Sanin. However, they were both beginning to understand and terribly outmatched they truly were. Haku's mind was running in overload as he watched his friends battle. He needed to get the scrolls. And if he remembered right, Hinata had the Heaven Scroll while Sasuke in front of him had the Earth Scroll. Sasuke-san, I apologize for this but I need your scroll, Haku said as he reached in and snagged it before Sasuke could say anything. What are you doing? Orochimaru noticed the movement despite being locked in battle with both Naruto and Lee. He slipped past them and took a step towards Haku. Not so fast, they both shouted as Naruto swung his chakra knives and Lee his nunchaku. Orochimaru easily blocked both of them. Haku didn't waste another moment and quickly dashed towards Hinata in a mad sprint. Hey, where are you going? Sasuke said as he ran after him in a hurry. Orochimaru sneered as he watched them sprint off. He didn't know what they were planning but he had no intention of letting them pull it off. Get out of my way. Orochimaru shouted as he swung his sword in a powerful horizontal swing. Naruto's blades easily stopped it. You won't make it past us. We are the fastest genin in Konoha, Lee said as he swung his nunchaku at the Sannin's head. Orochimaru dodged backwards and then easily stepped past them yet again. I'm a Sannin. You don't have a chance against me. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 3 Narutos appeared right in Orochimaru's way. You brats. Hinata-san. Your scroll. I need your scroll. Haku shouted at the top of his lungs as he continued to sprint towards Hinata. He was almost to her now. Hinata looked confused as she slowly pulled her scroll out. You think I'll let you? Orochimaru shouted as he appeared between the two of them. He had finally broken past Naruto and Lee. I'm growing sick of all these games. I'm going to KU4 and then Sasuke-kun will be mine. Orochimaru roared in anger as he swung down at Haku. Haku closed his eyes and waited for the blow, but it never came. He looked up in surprise and saw the shimmer of air that meant Naruto's chakra blade was extended. He turned and saw even from far back Naruto had managed to block that strike. Nice going, Naruto-san. Haku whispered thankfully. What a tenacious group. Orochimaru sneered in anger as he knocked Naruto's winged blade to the side. Before he could do anything else, the heaven scroll flew over his head and Haku snatched it. I thought I said enough. Orochimaru roared as he swung his sword downwards again. Someone help us. Haku screamed at the top of his lungs as he unfurled both scrolls in a cross in front of himself. A cloud of smoke appeared and a loud clapping noise appeared as someone caught Orochimaru's blade before it could strike Haku. The smoke slowly began to clear and everyone's faces brightened as a tall man in green spandex with a shining smile was revealed. You. Orochimaru sneered at the man who was smiling eerily at him. Guy-sensei. All of Guy's students shouted in joy. Hello my youthful students. You all seem to be in a bind already. Guy yelled as he pulled down on Orochimaru's sword while bringing his leg up. He delivered a kick so powerful that Orochimaru was sent flying deep into the forest. Leave everything to me, he said brightly as he turned to them and gave them all a thumbs up. Right, Naruto, Hinata and Lee said instantly. They had no fear there of their sensei losing. Quickly, follow me, Haku said as he began running in the other direction. All 4 genin quickly began to take off after him. As they got farther away, Guy let the huge smile he had on slip away. This isn't going to be easy. He sighed as he rubbed his head and turned back towards the forest that a very angry-looking Orochimaru was walking out of. Normally I wouldn't bother taking my time trying to fight someone like you, but I'm in a very bad mood right now, so I'll make an exception. Orochimaru sneered as he struck the sword he had been holding into the ground. You must have been careless if someone of your stature got injured just by fighting a group of genin. Then again, my students are pretty great. Guy rubbed his chin and smiled as he thought about his students. You can't seriously think you are capable of beating me. A man who relies only on taijutsu doesn't stand a chance. Orochimaru ran through a set of seals in the blink of an eye. Kaiten, Gokaku no Jutsu. He breathed out a powerful fireball that sailed at Guy with great speed. Guy settled into his stance and to Orochimaru's surprise, punched the fireball with such strength that it instantly extinguished. No humor was left on Guy's face at all. You ruined this exam for those young students. As a Jonin sensei of this village, I'll punish you for taking away what should have been a memorable experience in their youth. Orochimaru sneered. He didn't want to admit it, but he had wasted a lot of pointless chakra fighting all those genin. He had no doubt he could still win, but things were probably going to get gritty and he would probably have to wait a while before going after Sasuke again. All the same, he had no intention of letting the man in front of him walk away in hopes of preserving his own health. After all, this man got in the way of his prey and that was unforgivable. Seeming as you are a Sannin, I have no reason to hold back. Guy said as he slipped into a wider stance. First gate, open. Orochimaru formed another group of seals. Kuchio's no Jutsu. He s his palm on the ground and a giant snake appeared coiled around him. You think that will protect you? Guy vanished and reappeared in front of the snake and delivered a kick so powerful that it instantly popped out of existence. Orochimaru's body was still in the same spot, but something was severely wrong. His mouth had been yanked wide open as if something massive had crawled out of it, and the body now lay motionless on the ground. Guy instinctively took a step back, and it was lucky he did. If he had remained in the same spot a moment longer, then a perfectly healed Orochimaru would have seen him clean in half with his sword. I see you molted to repair your injuries. That must take quite a lot of chakra. Guy observed aloud. Are you sure you have time to be making those remarks? I am a Sannin. You have no chance of beating me. Orochimaru lunged forward and swung his sword. Guy took a quick step back and managed to dodge the blade. Without even giving him a chance to counterattack, Orochimaru stepped in again while swinging his sword. Second gate, open. With an increased burst of speed thanks to the gate, Guy barely managed to dodge this time. As expected of yourself, even with one gate open I cannot keep up with you. Guy touched down and launched towards the Sannin, throwing a powerful punch as he did. Orochimaru blocked the strike easily. Not just one gate but even after two I am far superior. Orochimaru shouted as he shoved Guy's fist back. He then swung his sword and smiled cruelly as it s into Guy's torso, only for him to vanish just a moment later. An afterimage. The 50 years of experience as a shinobi took over and Orochimaru jumped backwards, just barely dodging Guy's kick from below aimed at his chin. I guess I'll just step it up another notch. Guy yelled as another surge of power boomed from his body. Third gate, open. A moment later and he vanished again. He appeared behind Orochimaru already in the midst of a spinning kick. Konoha Senpu. His attack blasted Orochimaru into pieces of mud and Guy realized too late he had been fooled as he saw tiny flicks of paper hidden in the mud. A giant explosion set off that seemingly engulfed the youth-obsessed man. Orochimaru stepped out from behind the tree he had hid behind. For 3 gates even I have to use my incredibly drained chakra on ninjutsu. Fortunately, it didn't take a whole lot of it to win. That's what you think. Orochimaru wasn't able to dodge in time as Guy's fist s into the back of his head, launching him forward and bouncing his body back into the crater he had created. Fast. You must have opened the 4th gate as well that time. Orochimaru sneered as he got up and turned to face his enemy only to realize he wasn't there anymore. He once again rolled backwards just in time as Guy's foot s into the ground, sending massive pieces of debris flying everywhere. That's right. Guy picked his foot up out of the miniature crater he just made. Energy was visibly swirling around him now and his skin was starting to grow redder in complexion as his bee pumped at amazing speeds. Guess you leave me no choice then. Orochimaru sneered as formed the ram seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A single clone appeared next to the Sannin and they both began running through more seals. Let's see you get out of a Futon and Kaiten combination. They both shouted as one exhaled a blast of fire while the other exhaled a blast of wind. The two attacks combined together to form a giant twisting torrent of fire. 5th gate, open. Guy, instead of going around the firestorm, charged headfirst into it at such speeds that he actually blasted a hole straight to both Orochimaru's. Impossible. The one shouted as Guy ed his fist back. That word isn't in my vocabulary. Ura Renge. He delivered a punch so powerful that a massive shockwave followed it. Unfortunately, the one he attacked had been the shadow clone. Kuchio's no Jutsu. Orochimaru s his palms on the ground, summoning 6 giant snakes this time. They all began to slither at the spandex-clad man. 6th gate, open. Guy roared as he kicked off the ground so hard that it splintered apart. He ended up so high in the air he was level with the tree line. The snakes looked up in bated anticipation as they waited for him to couple down. Take this, Asa Kujika. Guy began to pump his fists at incredible speeds and with each punch he rained down a ball of fire that s into the snakes. After only a few moments of this deadly barrage they were forced to unsummon. You would go this far against me? You, an inferior shinobi who uses no ninjutsu at all. Orochimaru couldn't believe someone had the audacity to challenge him like this. I told you. Your acts have spoiled the exam for these genin. I cannot allow that to go unpunished. Guy crossed his arms as he continued to fall. Green energy began to leak out of every pore on his body as he went yet another step further. 7th gate, open. Orochimaru smirked. He had been waiting for this. The only thing he had to do was dodge this next attack and then Guy would be too weak to continue the battle any farther. This battle is mine. Guy ed his fist back as he began to charge his ultimate attack. The green energy swirled magnificently behind him and took the shape of a tiger head. Here goes nothing, Harudora. He shouted at the top of his lungs as he swung his fist forward. The giant tiger head appeared to roar as it began descending towards the forest floor. Now, Orochimaru said as he began to form a set of seals to swap himself with a log. He never finished as he felt two hands grab onto either ankle. A moment later and everything but the Sanin's head was in the ground and he could no longer finish the seals due to the restricted movement. He looked up in anger to see who would dare do this to him, but what he saw shocked him. Kabuto stood in front of his master, an evil smile on his face and one hand pushing the frames of his glasses up just right so the green energy reflected off of it, making his eyes invisible. Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, success. Have a fun trip in the afterlife. Quote. Orochimaru-sama, you bastard. The Sannin realized just now that he had let his surprise cost him. The once giant tiger was now small and compact, but worse, it was just a few meters above him. Howl my youth, Guy yelled as his attack detonated. Orochimaru could only watch as Kabuto's shadow clone popped, leaving him to be engulfed in the attack. The explosion from Guy's attack was so massive that it doubled the size of the crater they had already been fighting in, and all the trees in the immediate vicinity were bowled over with loud crashes. The shockwave kept Guy well afloat until the attack finally ceased and he landed heavily on the ground. The green energy around him still shining brightly. You think this is over? Orochimaru's body lay twisted and crippled on the ground. Guy merely looked down at him silently. You may have me. Orochimaru coughed and B went flying. His breath was hard and ragged and his voice was barely more than a whisper. But this wasn't your victory. I'll come back, and this village, it will burn to the ground. Orochimaru attempted to lean forward but he failed miserably. Moments later, his breathing finally stopped. Guy looked down with many mixed emotions at the corpse that had once been Orochimaru. He had done it, someone trained by the Hokage himself. It wasn't alone though. The genin that had all battled him before had managed to do incredibly well. There was also that person that had just shown up. The same person that was slowly approaching, while clapping his hands in a slow, loud manner. That was an incredible attack, sensei. The silver-haired man said as he slowly walked up to the body. Guy eyed him carefully for a few moments in silence. Something wasn't right about this kid. He didn't bother to show his suspicion. Instead he put his hands on his hips and laughed loudly. I appreciate your help. What is your name? I would like to give credit to you as well for having been a part of this great victory for the village. He extended a thumbs up to the genin. Yakushi Kabuto. I am just honored to have been of service. The genin said as he bowed low to the man. Kabuto-kun. Please do not find this rude, but I have but a few mere moments left before my energy runs out. I must use it to go report to Hokage-sama at once. Guy said as he turned around. Oh no, please hurry. I am sure he will be most excited by this news. Kabuto smiled happily at Guy. The youthful man nodded as he vanished. He wasn't sure how he knew it, but something about that kid was trouble. Kabuto's smile slowly transformed to one of pure evil as he walked forward. You won't be needing this, he said as he reached down into Orochimaru's open body and pulled the B scroll free. Unfortunately, this gives me 2 heaven scrolls. Kabuto sighed as he pocketed it. Oh yes, I just realized. I'm the leader of Otogakure now. Kabuto's evil grin remained plastered on his face. Time to really shake things up. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.